All right. So I'm gonna give it a few minutes to see if I see had enough. Okay, is in here. How are you? Good evening to you. But I'm gonna give it a few minutes to see if anybody shows up. A lot of you guys messaged me and said that you really like the content where I'm just building files for my own use or whatever, and thought you might like more of that. So here you go. This is more of it. But keep in mind, guys, this is live. This is not edited. There will be mistakes made, I'm sure. I'm absolutely confident that I will mess up probably at least 4 or 5 times, maybe even majorly. But I am in no way telling you guys that I'm like the expert at this, the end all, know all. No, this is how I do it. I get stuff done. I make projects, and I'm just sharing the processes that I use with you guys. Maybe you can glean a little tip or trick or something that maybe you hadn't seen before, and just by watching me work through it. And if you have any questions, I'll try to get to them as I can. Because, guys, I'm a monofocused individual. When I'm focused on something, sometimes I tune everything else out. So it's going to take a conscious effort for me to be able to look at the comments and down here. I wish there was a way y'all could like hit a doorbell or something if it was something important that I was messing up to give me direction sometimes. But what we're going to be working on, and I was going to try to make a video of it last night, and to be honest with you, I was working on the video, and y'all know Klein does a lot of work for me and stuff. He ran into some trouble with a file. He called me while I was recording the video. And so while I'm talking to him, then my buddy Bill had a little bit of a hiccup with one of his projects he was working on, and he called me. And then by the time I got through talking to both of them, I was like, you know what? The video is shot. I managed to get the project done while I talked to them, but I kind of felt like I was robbing you guys by not letting you see how the process. So I've already got one built, but we're going to start over. Never fear, we're going to start over. We're going to do a slightly different design because I don't want to recreate the same one. But this is what I was making last night. And I made this from scratch, guys. This is not a trace. This is not a download. This is using nothing but LightBurn. So if you have LightBurn, you too can create this. So that's what we're going to be doing. And once we do one, depending on how long it takes, hopefully it won't take long. Depending on how long it takes, if you guys have any ideas or anything that you want to see, just let me know. I'll be thinking about it, and we'll go from there and fix another file maybe if it doesn't take too long. I got home a little early today, crunk out a bunch of jobs last night, got them all out to the customers. I do have a little bit of work I could be doing. The delivery guy showed up today. So I do have that I could be working on, but I really wasn't expecting it to be here this quick. So I'm just going to plan to do that the rest of the week. But yes, that is a new laser. That is the Algo Alpha MK2. And some of y'all, depending on how long you've been watching the channel, I used to run the Algo Laser Alpha in this enclosure. It was a 20-watt, really good machine. Okay, the only reason that I have changed out the machine is because I do a lot of cutting with stuff like this. And when 40 watts and 70-watt machines come along, it's hard to turn them down, or 30-watt machines. So the Algo laser, the only reason that it's hanging right there instead of in an enclosure is because it is only a 20-watt. But I know, like I said, I'm trying to make sure I don't outgrow a lot of you guys that really don't care to have a 30 or 40 watt. So I'm going to try to take in the good machines that I know of that are a little more budget friendly than dropping $2,000 on a 70 watt. And so that's what that's about. And my buddy Billy is wanting another machine. So I'm going to retire the original Algo laser. This is like before they even released them edition. I'm going to retire it. I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to let my buddy Bill run that one for a little while. So, but that's what we're going to be. That's what we're going to start off with, is this little project right here. I'm going to lay it back over to the side. This was actually made to order for a customer. And to give you a little story behind it, the lady, apparently Evelyn, from what I can understand, I may have this twisted up, but from what I can understand in the text messages, is Evelyn has been recently had to go live in a assisted living home, and some of the families wanting to like fix her place up for her and kind of decorate it so it's not so drab and all that. And so they asked me to do this, but they wanted it plain so that they could paint it, because they want to actually go and figure out what colors they're going to use and stuff, and they're going to paint it themselves, but they wanted it custom made for Evelyn. So that's what we did. And it's a small one because this is kind of like a hospital type setting. And so we don't want nothing too big and gaudy. It's going to cover up, important things on the doors. So I went with the, a little bit smaller design than normal, but I think that'll work really nice for them. And so I'm going to show you guys how to create something similar to this, and then whatever else y'all decide y'all want to do after we get that done. So let me catch up on the comments. I'm going to try to give everybody a shout out. Hopefully there's not as many people in here and it won't take 45 minutes. The Sunday night lives is getting to where there's enough people that there's a lot of comments and I can't keep up. So hopefully this will be a little more personal setting for you guys. A little more closer to one-on-one or 1-on-40. So we'll go through here. Of course, we got Had Enough. Okay, is here. Mr. Frank Nichols Sr., Mike Doyle, Anita. Yes, Anita, I am definitely human because I make plenty of mistakes. Mr. James Richards, Peggy Andrews, Doug Ultra. Good evening, sir. Miss V is here. Comment that Bar didn't show up and scared you. Now I don't usually block anybody, Miss V, unless if you start getting vulgar or start just trying to cause a problem, then but you're gonna get warned first. But I don't see that being something that I would have a problem with you, Miss V there. What's up, David Allen? Great name, by the way. Not trying to throw anybody under a bus, guys, but I only currently have, which I've got a box of 30 shirts that I just recently purchased, because the ones of you that watch a lot know that I got the Peach Jam coming up in Clanton on June the 8th. And so I bought 30 t-shirts, large and extra large, to take with me to the event. So I've got 30 of these, but for some reason I only have 2 that are actually in the closet that I wear. And let's just say somebody put them in the laundry this weekend and they hadn't made it back out yet. And I'm not going to complain too much because the laundry fairy may watch this video and not do my laundry. So I'm not going to complain. But yes, I'm wearing the green today. And this is the green that I get from This and That Vinyl. They do all of my t-shirts now. So if you're interested. But back to the comments. Anita Blank says, LightBurn software. Correct. Can anyone use? Yes, Miss Anita, LightBurn is like the laser engraving software. And you can get it for free 30-day trial, but it's only, don't make me lie, I think it's $60 still for the basic. Because see, I have to get the Galvo, so mine's like 90. But it's $60 for the license, and you can keep it like that from now on and never have to renew it. But if you want the updates, then you have to renew that for a partial fee. I think it's like $30 every year in order to get the updates. But that's optional. You don't have to do that. You can actually, a lot of machines will actually come with a version of LightBurn already installed on a thumb drive or already on a thumb drive. You download it, get you a license, activate it, and technically you could run it from now on. They have the, Anita, don't they still, the updates is where they get you on the like to pay again. You don't have to do that, but I do it because they add some pretty cool features. So I go ahead and do the update version. And yes, they just recently changed it to where instead of putting it on 2 machines, now you can actually put it on 3. And I was really thankful because I was almost I was like pushing the button, fixing to buy another license, because I have this machine that I use here, and then I have the one I use in the portable shack, and then Brandy's learning LightBurn, so she's got it on her laptop. And so I was getting right there to where I was fixing to have to do that. And then they came out where you could use 3 computers on the license, and it saved me. So yeah. Well, V, I do need some help. I do need some help. I don't argue about that. But let's get back to where we were. Y'all making me squirrel. Let's see. Miss V, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Anita. Yep. Dana Marcel, hello from South Texas. Miss V, East Tennessee. How are you? And Anita Blanks. Let's see. Michael Browning. What's up, Michael? How are you? Not Bored Woodworking. Hello, sir. Victor from Michigan. Papa 20 from Montana. Oh, that's one of these days I'm going to get to see Montana, hopefully. Country Strong Craft, Sacramento, California. And I was actually shocked at how many people, because you hear stuff about California, and I know you can't believe what you see on TV, but I was actually shocked at how many folks out on the West Coast can actually tolerate me. Uh, so I'm proud of that. I appreciate it. I thought maybe I was a little too country for 'em, but I see that maybe there are some folks over there that aren't that anti me. That's good. David uh, Buchheister. I probably butchered that. That's not a term I'm familiar with. How are you, sir? Um, Mike Doyle, Hector Vasquez says he's got a question. We'll throw that up. I'm going to run through and say hey to everybody. We'll get back to your question in just a second there, Hector. Alan McDonald, Scotland. Oh, yeah, I want to go there one day too. I watch a lot of stuff about the ancient Celts, and y'all have some pretty good, like, uh, what is it, stone structures and stuff like that. That I would love to come over there and just like chill out and look at all that stuff. One of these days. One of these days. Bucket list, guys. Gregory, you're welcome, sir. Anytime. I try. I enjoy it. It's fun. One day I'll do it full time, maybe. Ann from North Texas. Mike again. Fat bloke. Perth, Scotland, home of the Stone of the Destiny. Yeah, see, there's some of the more those cool ancient things that I'd like to see. I mean, we have some stuff, but it if they're dating it accurately, it's not. They haven't found anything as old as far as like human structures here as what you guys have over there in Europe and parts of that area of the world. Now I think it's here. I think we just ain't found it yet. But anyway, Don Owens, hello, sir. Hello from Kentucky, Elonda Dunn, and Dwayne Jones and Verl. So we're gonna call it right there for as far as giving everybody a shout. But Hector's got a question. Says that what method have you found best for engraving on glass with a diode laser? And Hector, I use either you can use paint like regular spray paint, but the best approach is to use something like got it right here, something like this. This is what I use. Sorry, Mark. I don't do a lot of it anymore because I try to stay away from glass because it's not as easy as say wood. It's not as forgiving. Uh, but I do it on occasion when it's requested. But now it's the reason I don't like doing glass is because it is you're going to have to take whatever it is, you're going to have a piece of test material to do a lot of testing because Cermark with glass, depending on the glass, the hardness, the chemical composition or molecular makeup of glass, no two pieces of glass I've ever tested burn exactly the same. And so you're going to have different settings. You're going to have a different amount of spray. There's a lot of variables, but that will get the best results that you can get. But you're going to need to do some testing. One thing I will tell you with glass, defocus the laser. Depending on the fine detail you have, I would go up to as much as 2 millimeters defocused, like raise the laser up, focus it, and then go up like 2 millimeters. Whether you can do that in your Z-axis or whether you have to do it manually, because if you go too focused, you can actually cause little micro fissures, little micro cracks in the glass to the point to where it will literally explode because it cracks it, and it's like you took a window punch and it'll fall apart. So glass is finicky. You can do it, but it's finicky. And I will tell you, cheaper glass tends to engrave better than the more expensive. People claim this because of the impurities and the things that are in it and the higher content of these different chemicals. I don't know why, but I can tell you that the more expensive glass doesn't engrave as good as the cheap stuff. So, in my experience, Dollar General, the Dollar Tree, the dollar store, that glass engraves really well. Now you got to be careful not to snap it with the focus, but it engraves really well. Yeah, Lance, there's a lot of different approaches. You have to have some type of medium to cause heat with glass. The best approach that I have found, like I said, is with using something like Cermark. There's a bunch of other sprays that are a little cheaper, but Cermark to me does the best job. But that's just my opinion. Regular black spray paint does a really good job, but the cleanup's a little more challenging. It's a lot cheaper. So if you want to try that, you can. And if you using black spray paint too, if you do it just right, get it just hot enough, you can actually make the engrave stay black and turn black, but it's a balance. So anyway, hope that answers as best as I can. But anyway, so back to what we started. We're going to show, for those of you that missed it, because there's more people here than were then. I built this for some folks, and we're basically going to make, I'm going to kind of show you how I come up with some of the design elements in this and how I use the tools. It's very simple. This is nothing like groundbreaking or anything, but it's very basic. But I'm going to show you how I do it. Not the only way. There's 1,000 ways to do it. So if you tell me you could do this, you could do that. Yeah, it's probably so. We all have our habits and the ways that we learn, and this is the way I learned. And like I said, I do this, I make projects with it. It works for me, and so I'm just showing you. So if you see somebody else do it a different way and you like that better, feel free, because there are better ways, depending on how your mind works. So here we go. I'm going to drop down to the screen. I'm going to try to keep a watch on the comments to make sure I don't miss anything. Hang on, that's work. All right, I'm back. If you're using camera in 24, why would calibration work perfect after doing several other things with the camera off now? In an A24. More than likely, Greg, I would say probably because the thickness of the material has changed, typically. And that's what people, what you've got to understand, and I would love to, hang on, let me do an illustration down here. I'll do it, hang on, let me find I think I've got like a little drawing software. Stand by. Y'all get to see some of my artistic skills here. Pretty sure I got something I can just sketch in. Well, I thought I did. I got Inkscape. Can I draw? I can draw on Inkscape. Give me just a second. But I'll try to give you I will try to give you a quick demonstration. I could actually do it in LightBurn, couldn't I? What am I thinking? But we'll do it here. I'll grab me a brush. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna move you down to the screen. I'm gonna try to explain this best I can with some minor elementary illustrations. So let's go down to the screen. All right, so as far as cameras and lasers go, assuming that your camera is right here, okay, this is a camera, and you know it's a camera because I told you it was a camera, not because it looks anything like a camera. All right, so when you set your honeycomb or your workspace or whatever into the machine, it's here. All right, so if you just use the little sheet of paper that they send with the laser, it's going to sit directly on the honeycomb. Okay, because you use a piece of notebook paper with the little circles on it. All right, but if you take a piece of whatever your typical, like if you're cutting or you're engraving the same thickness of material, my recommendation, because like I use 4.7 millimeter plywood. So what I do is I place a piece of 4.7 millimeter plywood in the work area. I lay that sheet of paper on top of said plywood right here. Okay, now you run the calibration on the camera. The way that this works, because you're only using one camera, and it's only the camera only has one lens, and it's right in the middle. Typically, I mean, there's probably some machines out there that none of us want to buy that have more than one camera, but typically, other than maybe the P2. So when you run your calibration, this camera's view is going to be from here to here, and this is just roughly. I run 180-degree field of view camera, so it's more like up here, but we'll just, for illustration purposes, you get it. All right, so what you run the calibration. You are currently calibrating your camera based on an image that is 4.7 millimeters above the work area. All right, light travels a straight line, so therefore this lens is curved, as most of you already know. So the light is traveling in a straight line. The way that this works is it looks at that image, And through the calibration process, it says, okay, this is where the image is. And then when you burn the pattern, basically the computer system is going to put little markers in the software, so to speak, that says, okay, this is where this is in compared to what the camera is seeing. Okay, now if you remove the 4.7 millimeter material, now your image is actually laying on top of the honeycomb, which is about 5 millimeters further away. So this image is not going to be exact because, you know, a straight line from this lens to the edge of this image is right here. But as it goes down, it moves further to the left. Same thing here. As it goes down, it moves further to the right. So that's going to distort the accuracy of the camera. Now, let's imagine that you decide you want to engrave a cutting board that is an inch thick and you put the cutting board in there. Well, now you're zeroed your camera based on a picture that was sitting here. Well, now you're trying to get it to accurately measure something that is here. And because, like I said, light travels in a straight line, because this is closer to the camera, it's going to trick the camera into believing that this is bigger. Kind of like, you know, you see these trick photography things that people do. Like you see these pictures to where if, let's say I hold this pen, if I hold this pen right here, that pen looks small, right? It's compared to me, it's a lot smaller. Well, imagine that my camera is the camera that's in your enclosure and you've calibrated based on where I'm sitting. All right. If I move that pen closer, well, now you don't know what the measurements of this pen is because it looks to be taller than my head, but it's not. It's closer to the camera. And so that's what's happening in the laser is if you zero your camera with a sheet of paper laying on the honeycomb, you've zeroed your camera to the honeycomb. So anything you lay on top of that honeycomb is going to be further closer to the camera, which is going to make it look bigger to the camera because the camera can't, it has no depth perception. Just like us, if you close one of your eyes and you only look through one eye, you lose your depth perception. Okay. You can't tell how far things are because it takes two eyes that can kind of basically decipher how far something is by the angle of each eye as it looks at it. The closer you get, the steeper the angle of your eyes. Well, with one point of reference in a single camera setup, you can't do that. So my recommendation is whatever you typically would engrave, use that thickness of material and then lay that little piece of paper for calibration on top of that. Now, you got to understand, if you do anything thicker, it's going to throw it off. If you do anything thinner, it's going to throw it off. The only way to offset that is to basically either have a calibration done or do it yourself to where you have 3 millimeter material calibration, 5 millimeter material calibration, 7 millimeter material calibration. You would have to have a calibration for every thickness of material because basically you're doing the part of the other eye. When the camera takes the picture and then you go in and burn those circles and you put the line from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to calibrate it, you're the one that is actually determining the depth and setting everything to get up in the system. It's not doing it automatically. Now, do I think that within the next year or two, they'll probably come out with 2 or 3 or 4 camera systems that will be capable of a lot more accuracy? Yeah, I figure they will. They're using that technology on a lot of vehicles nowadays. That's how these cars, when they're riding down the road, can determine how far things are away from you because they have multiple cameras that all feed into this one brain and it's doing the depth perception and figuring out distance and speed and all that. So I think it was, I do I? Greg said it's crazy. I'm using that analogy, but yeah, I mean, but it's true, and Greg can vouch for you. It's hard to set depth with just one point of reference. You kind of have to have two. So that's the reason, in my opinion, and a lot of you know about my Enclosure Zilla over here. Okay, Enclosure Zilla, the bed goes up and down. Okay, so what I do is I calibrate mine. I put a piece of material in there and I calibrate on top of that material with my laser head zeroed. Well, I don't move the laser head. I move the bed up and down. So no matter how thick the material is, the surface of the material is always going to be in the same spot because that's where it focuses at. And so with Enclosure Zilla, I get more accuracy than normal, but it's not because the camera's any better or because I'm any better at calibrating them. it's because instead of the material getting closer to the camera or further away, the material, I raise it up until the surface of it is focused with the machine. And when I do that, it's always going to be the same distance from the camera to the top of the material. And so I get a little bit better results. But, you know, I hope that helps. That is what, from what I know, that is why the thickness of material makes a difference, because most of the machines that we run, the gantry or the head has to move to the material instead of the material moving to the head. A lot of your commercial CO2s, they have a little bit more accuracy with the cameras in LightBurn, but it's because the bed raises and lowers instead of the head. That's why, like the Thunder and the Omtex and stuff like that, the bigger, more expensive machines that have the Z-axis that goes up and down, those tend to be a little more accurate than what we get. But it's nothing to do with the cameras being better. A lot of times it's the same darn camera. It's the fact that once you calibrate it, the surface of the material is the surface of the material, because that's how the commercial machines will raise the bed up, touch a sensor, and then bring the surface of the material down to focused. So that's the reason. And that's why I kind of borrowed from that when I built EnclosureZilla, was to try to take advantage of that. My other machines don't have that, but I just have to work through it. I just frame a lot when it's not my typical material. But anyway, any more questions before I go over to LightBurn and get to what we were going to do here? So, well, let's get down into LightBurn, get this party started. All right. So, in order to make this little thing that we're going to make, it's mostly going to be circles. So, I'm going to start out. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to drag myself a little circle right here. And by holding shift and dragging a circle, it's going to make sure that your X and your Y are the same. And then you can just lock it and you can adjust the size from that point forward. If you don't hold shift, your circle can be oblong or whatever. But by holding shift, it just kind of forces it to be square. So, little trick. I don't always use it, but it is handy sometimes when you don't want to have to go through that trouble of redoing everything. So, I've got a piece of material in the work area there, as you can see. Got a nice little knot right there that I'm going to try to avoid. And what we're going to do, the little floral pattern that I had on the other design, I'm going to kind of show you how I throwed that together. And yeah, see, I didn't hit shift on that one, so it was all wonky. But the way that I make those little flowers, and guys, this is, like I said, this is not the only way, but this is the way I do it. I make a circle, all right, perfectly round 14 by 14 circle. Then I'm going to drag it. It's technically a circle, but it's not a circle. It's kind of that shape right there. All right, I'm going to take these two shapes. I'm going to select both of them, go up here and use the alignment button to align them together. And you can move these close. You can play around with this. Typically, I like to stop it about right there. Just leave a little bit of gap between the two. All right, I'm going to click the outside one first. Then I'm going to click my little inside one there. I'm going to go to Arrange and Copy Along Path. When you get to Copy Along Path right here, you're going to want to click that little Rotate Copies. And then you just kind of add however many petals you want on your flower. You add them right there. 10 is usually based on, depending on the shape. 10 is usually my sweet spot. All right. And so then I'm just going to hit OK. Well, once I do that, it's starting to kind of sort of look like a flower, but not quite. So what I do now is I'm going to select all these pieces, use the offset tool. And you can play with this too, because like I said, this is custom. You can make these flowers. If you want to make one looks like that, or you want to make one looks like that, or you can do both. You can make it look like this, copy it and paste it, and just however you want to do it. But basically, using the offset tool, you're just going to create a boundary around it to make it look more flower-ish. You can delete the center side if you want. I don't. I leave those intact. And then once I exit out of that, I got myself a little flower there. So that's how I made those flowers. It's very, very, very simple. Once you get it made, you can drag from right to the left. That's going to select everything inside here. And then just group those up. So on the boundary for the outside of this thing, we'll take that. And I like to give myself a nice thick boundary on the outside. So we'll go with a 10mm boundary around the outside. All right. So quick cheat on this as well is you can build this thing and save yourself like 50% of the time. And there's one thing that just one little step that you got to do. And I'll show you what that is. So before we get started, we'll move our flower over here out of the way. So if you want to do like I did in that one where you have the top part and you got the bottom part and the name goes in the middle, the easiest way to go about doing that, it would be to take this little guy right here. You can just make yourself a little square. Figure out how big you want it for your text. And then what I like to do is I'll just take that, put it there, select this little line, and then use a 0 utility there. And then I'll change this guy here to a tool line. And that's going to let me know where my graphics need to be and where they don't. You can even take this, duplicate it, and then you can actually change the thickness of this thing to 10. Put it up there. And you can duplicate it again. Change the thickness. I could have just copied the other one to 10. And there's several different ways you can do this, putting these together. And so this kind of gives you an idea if you wanted to build a border around it. So now I can take and line this one up above here if I want to kind of exclude that from my little area in the middle. And you would basically just line these shapes up. And I've got mine set to where if I hold control, it makes it do tiny steps. And I'm just going to hold control and click it until I get them lined up. And that is so close right there that you will never notice that on the laser. Same thing here. Click that one. Zoom down. Hold control. Walk it down to the other one. And one thing I do like about like in VCarve, you have the functions to where, and I haven't, like I said, I can't say it ain't in here, but I haven't found it. But in VCarve, you can actually use a square like that and tell the shape to attach to the inner or outer edge. It's kind of cool in VCarve. I've got to where I enjoy designing in VCarve quite a bit. So you can even go like right here, click that one, click this one, and I'm going to group those two together. Now I'm going to take that shape and that shape and weld those. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the excess, guys. I got that. I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to click that one now and that one now and go there. So now I've got all of this laid out the way that I want it. And so to get my little design on the outer edges, oh, something's not closed. Oh, it's grouped. That's why. So now I'm going to go in here and just get rid of this over here because I don't need those. So I'm going to take them out. And then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take them out. All right, so now I've got it to where if you wanted it in 3 sections and you wanted to, like this would be the top part. Name would go in here. And you can take and delete that. Name would go in here. You'd have the top design, bottom design. This is going to be an outer layer, and then you're going to have a layer here with a layer back in it. So that's one way of doing it. You can also, if you wanted, you could go ahead and have cut these up here, and you could simply do that by taking this shape and clicking that shape, and then you can weld those together. Well, wrong boolean, but you get the picture. Or you can just go in simply and node edit and do that. But we're going to do this one this way since I did the other one the other way. I'm going to leave my little box in there, but I am going to resize it appropriately because I don't want it just be all hanging out everywhere. All right, so we'll leave that in there. All right, so now in order to take my little flowers and do the floral arrangement, however you want these, like I did that one, I kind of stuck that guy, the first one, kind of right here in the middle. You want just enough going into there to touch. And I'm going to hold that control button, click the outer ring, and then Go here, align. Now, on these, make sure all this is grouped and make sure this line and this line are grouped. If you don't have it grouped, let me show you what happens. If you take this and you take this, and this is just demonstration, guys, and you try to weld them together without it being grouped together, it's going to disappear that guy, and it's just going to make little dimples there. So what you want to do is make sure you have both of these lines, because you're wanting this to be a solid piece of material. You're wanting to leave that piece of wood in there. So you want to make sure you got those grouped so that it's more of an object instead of a line. When you click on that, and then you click on this, and now they should actually stick together so that this becomes part of the border around it. And one thing that I forgot to do, hang on, because I don't like redoing stuff. So I'm going to copy that little flower before we weld it in place. So I'm gonna go back to that one. I'm gonna weld it back in place. So now I got me a flower in my paste, so that I can just, what you call it, clipboard, so that I can just paste it. So now if I wanted to, put another one in here, but I didn't want it the same size, I'm just gonna resize it, and we'll stick it somewhere right in here, just so it's touching. And then I'm gonna duplicate that one, and I like to try to keep things symmetrical. So I'm going to take this little guy, and I'm just going to use my arrow key after I duplicate it. I'm going to move it over here, get it to where it's barely touching as well. I'm going to hold Control, click on the original one. I'm going to group these guys together. Once I get them grouped, I'm going to hold Control, click on this outer circle, and then I'm going to use this alignment tool right here to make sure that we're aligned. Once those are aligned, now I can select that. I can select my outer edge, and I can weld those guys in place as well. So now I've got me two flowers in there. Well, I don't want to overdo it with this little design. So now I'm going to create another design similar to that one, but different. So I'm going to set this one to 18 by 18. I need to change that over to a cut. And so now I'm going to do a kind of a different, I don't want it to look like this. I want it to be a little bit different. So I think what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to take two of these little things here, make me one. All right. And I'm going to duplicate it. And then what I want to do now is kind of scoot this little guy over to about right there. And then I'm just going to rotate them until I put the ends of them kind of together. I'm just coming up with a design for a flower, guys. That's it. All right, so let me see. Yep. Let's go a little more with that one. All right, so that works. So now I'm just going to weld these two guys together. I'm going to take that guy, put it up here. Well, it's a little kiltered. Hang on. There we go. So I'm going to take that guy right there, and we'll hold Control. Select my other little circle. Same thing. Arrange. Copy along path. Rotate copies. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we're going to go with that. All right. So now, because I didn't quite move this in enough, I want to make this circle a little bit bigger, just so that it's a little closer to my little petals there. Do that. But I'm going to select all of those guys, offset again. 10 may be a little bit much. Let's go on down. Oh, there we go. That looks pretty cool. That looks like a real flower. So now I've got me another flower. All right. And it's, it looks organic. So we'll go with that. So I'm just going to group this guy up. Now I can resize this and put it wherever I want to. So I can literally just kind of stack this guy in here somewhere. And, if you want to try to get it twisted to where your petals don't quite intersect or whatever, do however you please. This is where creativity comes into it. Want to duplicate that one using the arrow key. I'm just going to move that guy over. May have to rotate that one because my petals are a little different on this side. I'm going to rotate that one a little bit. All right, I'm grouping these two. Now I'm going to use the control, hit my outer border, and align them. So now I got those guys. So now I can select those, hold control, select this, weld those together. And so now I've got this, this little flower arrangement. Looks like it got chopped off in there as well. So that's looking pretty cool. And now you're like, okay, now you got to do the whole bottom down here to get it done. Well, not exactly. So I'm going to ungroup some stuff for a minute, because to do this, I got to have it ungrouped. I'm going to select that little guy right there. I'm going to use the duplicate function. Then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to mirror it the other way. And I'm just going to hold my arrow, but wait a minute. Some of my stuff didn't make the trip. Stand by. So we're going to have to use the bottom right drag. So I'm going to drag from the bottom right up. Now don't touch anything you don't want to select, because it's going to select anything that it touches. Okay, so I got these two little scragglers right here. So I'm going to hold control, click that one, click that one. Now I'm going to group all of my floral arrangements together. And it doesn't hurt to go back and make sure you didn't miss any, because you'll be like I was a minute ago. So once I got them all selected, everything looks good. Duplicate, mirror. Now we should be able to ride this guy down to the bottom. If you really want to cheat, just click that guy, hold control, click this guy, hit the arrow, the little bullseye button. Now, you got to remember, there's two lines in there. So you're going to want to take that line and delete it. So there we go. Because you don't want it to cut it, because that line would have cut all my little pieces off. So there we go. Got that part done. And the text, guys, is as simple as, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I don't need it. The text is as simple as, let's see. Type some text in. Figure out what font you want. We got that font. We got this one. If you're going to be gluing these on instead of engraving them, like this design here, you could actually get by with just engraving the font. So you could run pretty much any font that you wanted to, because you're going to be burning it into the wood. Now you got to watch for those little Y's and stuff, because they will hang low on you there and mess you up. So I'm going to select that one, hold control, hit that. I'm going to try to zero it. There we go. So that's in the middle. So with this particular layout, because this is actually going to be a solid wood across here, we could go with an engrave for that one. Cut all of these pieces here out, because everything is mostly attached here. And then we could just cut everything out and glue it on the back sheet. Now, to do this in 2 layers, you're going to want one layer. I'm going to click that back piece, and I'm going to duplicate it, and then we'll bring it out. This is going to be the back layer that goes behind this. Let's minimize this where I can kind of show you how it goes together without having to wait for a while. All right, so I'm going to minimize this down. We're going to make this small, not too small. All right. So this is going to be the back piece. So I'm going to duplicate that layer and pull it over here to the side. This is the very, very back of the design. All right. Now, one thing that you can do, especially if you're going to be gluing the name on here, it's not a bad idea to go in here, select all of this stuff here. You can duplicate that one, bring it over here, zero it with that. Oh, we got some stuff ungrouped, so let's don't do that part. Make sure you don't put two. Why is this one different? Oh, because I hadn't. Yeah. All right, we'll delete that one. We don't need it. So on this, you can leave this as a cut, but turn everything else into an engrave, like a score, just a little line, and then come back, turn this one back into a cut. So what this is going to do is this is going to draw out where everything goes. So if this is one of those situations to where you want to cut the letters out and glue them here, you can actually mark where they need to be glued. So like for this, we would change that to the engrave part. get rid of that. And then we'll duplicate that and move it up here as a cut. And that'll cut our letters out. So now when you put this together, this piece is going to go on top of here, and then the name is going to go there. So let me group all this together, and I'll run it real quick, and we'll show you in miniature. We'll show you what it would look like. This is going to be awful small, and I'm telling you right now, my fingers are not small enough to be dealing with all this little parts. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Thought I grouped that. Apparently I was mistaken. Put that there. And we'll just kind of lay that in there. All right, so watching my screen over here. I've got my machine in my park location. When I powered it up, that's where I send it to kind of get the head out of the way so I can take pictures and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna frame this to make sure that it's on my material where I suspect it is. All right, so it is on the material, and being that this is the A70 Atom stack, we do have autofocus. So I now have to focus the machine. So I'm gonna hit that button. The laser head is now dropping down until the little sensor touches the material. Once it does that, it's gonna come back up the appropriate distance to be focused, and it's gonna stop. So we are now focused. The next thing that we need to make sure we do is we need to set our cuts and speeds. So for this, just to make sure, because I did see some knots in that material, I'm going to run this at the cut at 15 millimeters a second with air assist. And I'm going to engrave and run the line. I don't want to go too hot. I'll be cut through this stuff. I'm going to run the line at 200 millimeters a second at, let's go 40. 40, I think it can handle 40. At 40% power on the, just the line that goes on there. The text, this is just going to be a cutout. But if we wanted to engrave it, we can do it. Let's do it both ways. Let's do that. That way you can see the effects of both ways. I'm gonna ungroup that. I'm gonna go ahead and change this over to an engrave, and then we'll run the engrave at 400 millimeters a second, 100% power, 150 LPI, all at once. Yes, we're good. All right, so that way we can engrave it, and we can also still do a glue in. Either way. So one thing that you're going to want to watch out for, and this is one of those things that'll bite you when you're designing your own files. Because I started with putting the lines in first, that's the first one in the order right here. Now, there's a couple of ways you can fix this. You can just grab that, drag it to the bottom, or grab these, drag them up, grab these, drag them up. You can do that. Or you can go right here on the little, where you see the number sign, right click, sort cuts last, and it'll automatically, no matter if you got 50 layers, it'll put the cuts last. So little trick there. But we've got everything framed out. We got our settings in there, and we're going to let this guy rip. We're going to be running 400 millimeters a second at 100% power on the grave, 200 millimeters a second, 40% power on the score, and 15 millimeters a second at 100% power on the cut. So, and there's your camera view, but I have the other one over here as well. If it works today, let's see if it works. Yes, it works today. So here we go, guys. Going hot. Need to turn on some exhaust, so it may get a little loud for a second. Yeah, what do you think about that engraving speed? And that actually may be too hot. Mickey Burr. I just happened to be catching up on the comments over there. Mickey Burr. if you're connecting your machine and it's not recognizing it, but you're saying it is recognizing it. Port number 3 disappears when I disconnect it. Yeah, that sounds like it could be a driver issue, but if you're going through a USB hub by chance, make sure, like they said, plug it directly into your PC and make sure you're not using a charge only cable, just in case, because typically you won't even see it with a charge only, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to try a different cable and see if a different cable fixes it. But now it's going on to the score, which is basically just to print out some alignment drawing, more or less, in the event that we were placing this stuff by hand. I tied all of my designs together, so it should all stay in one part when we cut it. Shouldn't be an issue for that, but this is still handy to do anytime you're doing glue ups, multi-layered stuff. Oh well, looks like Hector left. Oh, never mind. It was Hickey Mickey Bear asking the question. B Maze, I have not heard anything about any problems with the exhaust fan with the last update. My S1 appears to be still working. The fan does, because I just recently changed the board out and updated the software, so mine still works. Uh, you never know. Okay, Mickey Burr, I see where you said that it works with EasyCAD, but LightBurn doesn't see it, doesn't connect to it. You may have a config file that you need for that machine, or it may just be a little bit more complex to set up than that. You may want to look and see if they included a LightBurn, I think it's a .cb file, which is going to be the configuration file on that thumb drive, because a lot of times you have to have those. Okay, so you use the cable that came with it. Yeah, you might want to make sure there's not a config file for that machine. Let me see what the extension of those files are. I can't. I think it's a CB, but I'm not sure. Let me go look. Let me look right quick. Uh, Look for a LBDEV file. That's going to be the LightBurn, basically the device settings for it. Hang on, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But you should have a lot of machines come with them. When I go in here to my machine files, let's say not all of them do, but some of them will come with a configuration file. And this is where I back mine up, but it'll be a LBDEV file, and you can actually import that directly into LightBurn. Some machines are a little bit of a hassle to get connected if you don't have a already created profile for them, unless you just do it manually. But manually usually works. So, not sure. All right, so it's down to the cut. And yes, guys, that's cutting speeds. This thing's a monster. I say that, it won't cut through it. No, it's slicing it like hot butter over there. I'm going to have to upgrade my exhaust. I'm still running an old vacuum on this setup, and it's not able to do as good a job as I'd like for it to do. So I'm going to end up upgrading it to a 6-inch fan. My Vevor variable speed 6-inch fan. See who else is in the comments here. Da. Oh, what's up, Rick? How are you, sir? Lance. It's getting hotter. It's actually cool this week, but it's getting to look a lot more like summer outside. All the trees are green. You can't see up the hill anymore. Mosquitoes, ticks, all those fun guys are out. So, but yeah, it's about finished on the burn there. There's a lot of intricate cutting going on in there. There's gonna be a lot of little tiny pieces. Somebody's gonna have to get out of that honeycomb too. That's gonna be fun. Yeah, lots of little tiny parts. I just realized I got my tumbler, my silver tumbler that nobody could engrave, but I figured it out. Now I learned two of them trying to figure out how to get black text on a silver tumbler with a diode laser, but I figured it out. And I also put black text on the bottom of it. Oh, that's a lot. My man made that a little too small. Yeah, this thing is definitely not going to be very rigid because those little pieces of this design are actually only about as thick as a piece of printer paper, but it's doing a really good job. Yeah, I'm going to take that honeycomb out to clean that. That is ridiculous. So, what's everybody else up to while we wait? It is still working on the cut. There's a lot of little intricate cuts in there. Even at those speeds, it's taking it a little while. All those little tiny pieces are falling in my honeycomb. I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to recover the text, but it's getting it done. Nope. This was not done with any kind of marking spray at all. It was done with actually that guy right there, the Lasermatic MK2. Uh, it took a lot of testing. Like I said, I got lucky though. I had plenty of the tumblers and was able to get it after playing around with it long enough. I was able to get it without marking spray. And for you, if you're interested in how I did that tumbler, there's the video. But that's actually this one I'm drinking out of, and you can look at that video. When was that video done? This tumbler was made December the 9th, and I use it about once a week. I made it for work. So it's got the badge on there. It's got scripture on there. Was that John 15:13? If you can see it, the lighting is kind of awful, but there you go. But yeah, black text, but it's in that video how I went about doing that. Combination of speed and power test and focus and a whole bunch of settings. So I've never been able to pull that off that dark, which I haven't tried it on this particular tumbler before, but I've never been able to pull that off before. But I was able to actually do it in the MK2. It actually has this cool little feature where you can change the frequency of the laser, and it does make a difference. But it just I've got a bunch of those things. I need to do another video on that. I have the X-Tool D1 Non-Pro. Is there a way to slow down the homing speed so it doesn't bump the rail so hard? Uh, in LightBurn or XCS? That is the question. Ed, are you using LightBurn or XCS? Struggling with cups on the MK2. The MK2 does a really good job on them, guys. And like I said, tumblers, just like I told my buddy, I got my buddy Bill. He is working on setting up his machine. He's wanting to try to do tumblers, and I told him, that's get comfortable with the other features of a machine before you start trying to get into tumblers, because tumblers can be a bit of a handle. Uh, they can they can get you there. They can get to be a pain. Ed, the thing with X tools, a lot of the machines, the homing speed with most machines, and I don't know if they've changed it yet or not, but with most machines, and I'll show you the settings on this A70 while we're working. But on most machines, and X Tool used to have their controllers locked down so that you couldn't make changes to them. I haven't tried doing it in a long time. But you would have to go to edit and go to device. Well, no, wrong setting. You would have to go to edit, and go to machine settings. Well, it's not gonna let me do this one because it is busy. Give me just a second. Let this burn quit, and I'll show you once it's not busy doing something. All right, hang on. It finished the cut. So edit, go to machine settings. Make a backup copy. Anytime you're messing with the controller settings on any of these machines, do yourself a great big favor before you do anything. And I'll show you how to do it. I'll go ahead and back mine up just in case I haven't already. Uh, when you open this window, hit save to file. Find a location that you know where it is. Mine are always right here in my machine files, A70 Pro. And what you can see right there, I've already backed mine up. So you will want to back it up. All right. This was backed up on 4/10 of 2024. So I'm just going to override it just to show you. All right. And hit save. Once you save that, if you were to get in here and mess something up, you can always load it back from the file that you just saved and save yourself a whole lot of heartache. When I first got into lasers, I got in here messing around, and this warning that says that you're editing settings that could potentially be dangerous and damage your machine, take that serious because you can. But the way that when it's homing, you've got a couple of settings that you can change to slow it down. Now, I don't recommend speeding them up much. Some machines like the Atom Stacks, I do speed them up a little bit, but be careful because if you go too fast, you can cause some, break some limit switches or whatever. But this is $24 is going to be your slow homing rate. And what I would say is just knock it down gently a little bit at a time until you get consistent results. Now, like I said, the X tool you had to turn the switch on to even get into the controller settings and update the firmware. They used to have it locked down to where you couldn't, but with any of the Atom Stack Sculpt Funds, any of the GRBL standard machines, this is where you change your homing speed. This machine actually homes kind of slow, but because it doesn't have a very big work area, I work with this. But you can change this number. So like if I wanted this one to slow down a little bit to get a little bit more consistency, if it didn't have consistency, I could slow down this fast seek rate. I'd knock about, 500 off of that and then maybe knock 50 off of this. Try it and then knock another 50. Just keep walking it down. I wouldn't do any big drastic changes because you might break something if you're not careful. Slowing it down, you're probably not going to cause any problems, but just make it slow. But if you start trying to speed one up, do it in little small increments to make sure you don't damage anything. Because like the X40, I had to speed the home and speed up on it. It was just like I would hit home and you could like go get lunch and come back before it got over here. So I did have to speed it up. The A70, I haven't messed with yet. Oh, it's still smoky in there. Hang on. Yeah, I've got to upgrade my ventilation on this one. Let's see what we got going on. Hobo, finally figure out how to use the protractor measurements in the measuring tool. Good deal. Glad you got it figured out. All right, so let me go over here. Y'all got to see this mess. This thing has made a mess out of my enclosure. All these little pieces. Huh. Somebody cut a line out somewhere right there. Good. Goof. Woo. Oh, those are brittle. Oh, that's a mess. That is a mess. We're just gonna leave those in there. I'll get a shop vac a hold of that. That is a mess. All right, so by miniaturizing this, guys, uh, I do see where my file design had a flaw, and I can see it on the screen. I don't know why I didn't pay any attention, but I left that one little piece right there. And if you look at the screen, yeah, it tried to tell me when I joined those two lines together. It chopped it a little bit right there. So it tried to warn me, but I didn't see it. So I'm gonna have to go and fix that. Uh, you know what? I know a way. I see a way. Hang on. Let me see here. Let me ponder for just a second. If I did, yes, that will work. All right, hang on. So I need to ungroup some stuff first. Well, let me duplicate it. Let me work over here without messing with that one. So I'm gonna ungroup some stuff. All right. I'm gonna click this guy. I'm gonna duplicate that. I'm gonna change that one into a tool line. All right, I'm gonna go over here to my cuts and layers, and I'm gonna hide that tool line. All right, because I really don't want to have to back all the way up. So I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna try to cheat and fix this. So I'm gonna select that. Go over to my node editor. Hover over that line, delete that. Hover over that one, delete that. All right. Now I should be able to click that, delete all of those. All right. Now, if my calculations are correct, if I take that, rotate that 180 degrees, that's going to put it like that. Now I can turn my tool line back on. All right, I got part of it back, but I'm still missing the little piece. It needs to be cut from here to here. So, yep, that almost worked. Almost. Why have I got a partial line here? Okay, this is, all right, this is going to be that line. All right, let me start right here. Delete there. Start right here, delete that. All right, now let me take these two little pieces here, delete that one out of there. Click that, turn it back to a tool line. All right, so I got these little pieces back in there now. Well, yeah. Hey, that'll work. All right, so now it's going to draw me a line from here to right here. Oh, that's not exactly how I want it. All right. Ew, quit. How far off am I? Oh, I'm terrible at circles and odd shapes, guys. Terrible, terrible at them. I'm gonna have to pull these two guys a little closer. Kind of see if I can kind of pitch it. Not my strong suit with these circular shapes. I need to add some more nodes, but I don't want to. I'm gonna get this thing close enough for government work, and we're gonna call it good. All right. Edit. All right. Come here, guy. Go here. All right. Straighten your butt up a little bit right there. Right there. All right. And you need to go to here. All right. Turn you that way. Turn you that way. Okay, that's not. All right. Better. All right, close enough. There we go. So, yeah, somewhere in the in when everything was clipping together, we wound up losing this little section here, which is weird that I didn't lose it up here. So you know what I could have done? See, could have saved myself all of that trouble if I'd have been paying attention. Don't touch that. That's what happened right there. When I selected it a while ago, I left that guy. That's what happened. Group that. Duplicate. I just realized that it wasn't on the top, but it was on the bottom, and I made the bottom from a duplicate. So yeah, I could have done it that way. Been much easier. So let me delete all that. I don't know how I got this other piece caught in there. Oops, wrong one. There we go. And it's getting left out again. See, that's what happened. It didn't get grouped earlier. Oh, there's that little piece we needed. So, yeah, let me back up. I done messed this all up. Golly. All right, we get back to before I duplicated it. Let's go here. All right. One more step. There we go. All right. So when I selected all of this earlier, now I've got it all grouped. But it's still got this guy in there too. Let me ungroup that. All right. That's why grouping is important. All right, so I'm gonna change this over to, yeah, I'm not using a tool line, so we'll change that over to a tool line. And now I'm gonna copy this one over, make this easy on myself. All right, now I'm gonna click this one and just line them up. Now I can take my tool line and delete that. And we're good. Okay, that's what I should have done earlier. Let me copy that. Change that to a tool line. Paste, hold control, select that one, center it on it. And I'm going to delete that tool line. There we go. Now that needs to be engraved. There we go. All right, now I've fixed it. So, yeah. All right. Whew. Yeah, I hate node editing circles. I can't ever get them right. I hate them. But anyway, so what we wound up with, other than that little piece that didn't get grouped at the top when I flipped it, it worked. And look, guys, that's a 70-watt laser that's cutting stuff. Like these guys right here are as thin as paper, like way too thin for any practical use. But for demo purposes, it works. Now, the reason that I say I like doing, like with this right here, I did the little tool line scratches basically so that when you're lining everything up, and it doesn't matter really with this one because it's round, there's not really many ways that it could go wrong. But if you're doing a multi-layer project, I like doing that because if you're having to hand glue stuff together, you can use those little score lines to make sure everything's lined up, and then when you put it together, uh, it kind of stays where it's supposed to be. Another thing is when you engrave first like this, and you've got letter cutouts, it makes it also, whew, if I can hang on to these little guys, it makes it also easy to be able to take that letter, and it's almost an inlay. So by engraving it first, now if I can figure out what letter's what, we can find the R. Hang on. Is that the R? No, that's the N. No, I can't tell. All right, we'll just use the Y. I can pick it out. So by engraving it first before I put it together and started to glue it, like I said, you can kind of use the engrave as kind of an inlay to hold it in place. And so, it's pretty neat to be able to do that, because if you're like me, lining things up, the reason I use computer controlled machines is because I'm terrible at lining stuff up by hands. So anytime I can let the computer tell me where to put it, kind of like here, uh, it's better. And one thing that I did notice that I didn't do with this graphic, and I'm gonna show you down here, it's a rookie mistake. See how these lines are in there? I should have selected all of those and welded them together to get rid of, well, hang on, guys. Change it over. Select them. Why did it not, still putting those lines? Oh, they're not touching. Should have changed the spacing. Still not recognizing it as a text yet. I've done so much cutting with it. Oh, wait a minute. There it goes. Nope. But yeah, you have to change your text settings and pull these closer together, and you can get rid of these lines. I don't know why I wasn't paying attention to that a while ago. It's like I said, anytime I turn a camera on, my IQ drops by like 50 when I turn a camera on for some reason. I don't know why. It just does. But I can't figure out where these turn letters go because it cut them apart on me. I like it better when they're all together. But yeah, there you go. So you just use the engrave as kind of a jig to put the letters in, and it makes it a little easier. If I can get my fingers to hold them. Almost got it put together, guys. Bear with me. If I'd have done the text right, we wouldn't have this problem. That's the only thing about miniaturizing stuff for videos, so it don't take as long, is they're hard to hold. So there you go. You got to put together without any glue, of course, but that's what we wound up making out of this design. Now, realistically, I'm gonna make this bigger if I'm gonna cut this out, because these little pieces here are way up too thin. I mean, you hit those really hard, those are gonna break. It cut them out really nice. And this is another, I'll give you, this will be like my little point for good air assist. See those little pieces and how thin they are? If you don't have proper air assist and you don't have your focus and everything set right, you're going to turn those guys into crispy critters when they're that thin. So, but yeah, it worked out pretty good. Looks okay considering that it was done during a video. But realistically, I would make it like this big or bigger so that it wouldn't be, really thin. So what we got going on over here? Y'all over here in the comments having a field day, ain't you? Really struggling with cuts on the MK2. LightBurn, Hovo. So what's giving you so much trouble on the tumblers with the MK2? Just out of curiosity. What's up, Chris? How are you? Yeah, I mean, we could do a tumbler. I mean, 6:30. It's early. Let me go see what I got over here in my testing bucket. Look at him. I got a blank silver one that's very dusty. It's just like it's the same time. It's the same tumbler. I also got some. I also got some orange ones. Settings. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to sacrifice. Hang on, I'll show you. All right, so this is how I buy tumblers. All right, buy them in this big old box right here. Comes 12 to a box. And typically speaking, out of a box of 12 tumblers, by the time I get through testing, I'm gonna have 10 tumblers left until I find the perfect settings. So that is what happens. So tumblers, my recommendation, Hassel Outfitters is by far the easiest ones that I have found to teach people how to do. And if you'll look, you play around with the settings, you do the speed and power tests until you get the right shine, you don't want too much overburn. You don't want too much underburn, because if it doesn't burn it good enough, it's going to leave material. If it burns it too much, it's going to leave lines. I will tell you with the MK2, I like to raise or lower. You can do it either way, because sometimes with my MK2, sometimes I can't really raise it out of focus as much as I want, because the module will hit the top, and that's why a lot of times I end up using another machine for doing tumblers. But if you lower it, it'll do the same thing. But you got to make sure when you get it chucked in that you don't have any wobble, because you don't want it hitting that tumbler. But like every time I get a machine in that I'm going to use to do tumblers with, I do like that one there. Some of this testing is for the atom stack, and I have to mark this stuff when I'm playing around with them a lot of times, because I forget which one I did with what. But once you find the settings, then my recommendation, and I'll take you back down to my screen down here. Let's say if I swap over to, let's swap over to the Rolly MK2. All right. So I'm going to go over here and go to my library. And here are where my settings are. So once I find a setting for a tumbler, like I said, it costs me 2 tumblers usually to get the best engrave. Once I figure out what the good speeds are for those tumblers, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a profile and I'm going to set them. And so that's what this is in here. And the more tumblers you do, the more colors you do, then it's kind of easy, because, you know, like you can go, okay, this color works at this speed, this one works at this speed, so this is going to be a good starting spot. And so then you can start kind of doing an educated guess. And sometimes educated guesses work out, and sometimes they do not. So, but tumblers take a lot of testing, and testing is not for the faint of heart at times. Like I said, I bought 12 tumblers, and 2 of them are just slap full of stuff. Now, these are still usable. You know, I could technically do a wrap, like do a 360 wrap on these things and just engrave all the coating off of them, and they'd work good for, you know, going to the sawmill and stuff like that. Now, I mean, I use them sometimes like this. I got some of them in the cabinets that have test grids all over them, but they still keep drinks cold, so I still use them. But I've got a bunch of these left still. So I think I've got, let's see how many I got left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I still got 6 of those left. But let me grab a couple more. I'll show you some other stuff here. When I was getting ready to do this tumbler, this was the sacrificial lamb. You're gonna always have the sacrificed pieces, and like right there, you can see I was trying to go for black, and I got it to go black. But watch what happens when I turn this sideways, guys. There's a dent in the cup. Too much heat will cause these stainless steel tumblers to actually dent where the engrave is. So you got to watch for that. But then, I got to playing around, trying to figure out, how to get it to go black. So, you can play around if you want a silver engrave, which silver on silver doesn't look good. You can see that engrave right there. You can barely see it. So I started trying to get more of a black finish. And when I finally got to the right settings is when I was able to pull off this guy. And I got a black finish on a silver tumbler. But there's a video on that if you want to go watch it. And it's using this guy right here because with the silver, I found that I get the best results with it. I don't know why. Not 100% sure whether it was just me or, I got lucky. I don't know. But I did get the best results with that. So, tumblers are a whole nother animal. And we won't even look at the dust on top of these, but this is a bunch of other like blanks and test cups and all that. And guys, it's dusty in here, especially on the top shelf. But since I've been doing this, I have probably sacrificed 30 tumblers to the cause. So if you want to do tumblers, just know, go on my Amazon shop and you can look for Hassel Outfitters tumblers. Order you a box of those in your favorite color. And like I said, just know that at least one of them you're not going to get to use. It's going to be a test cup, and test until you get the perfect settings. And then save those settings and keep them and hold them near and dear to your heart. Because if you don't, then you got to go back and do all that testing again. And that sucks. So, any other questions, comments, concerns, anything going on that I need to know about before I get out of here? Because I got stuff I got to get done. I got a couple of files that I need to work on. My little paint can caddy. I'm gonna do some work on it. What is the name again? It's Hassel Outfitters. Guys, if you'll go to, hang on, I'll show you here. We'll give you a tour of the website. So if you will go to theclackshack.com and just hit enter. All right. You can go over here to shop with Clack. All right. If you go down to Amazon, this is my little Amazon shop. All right. It's got a lot of videos and stuff like that on there. But if you go to my idea lists, I have like laser engraving blanks right here. You click on that. There's the Hassel Outfitter tumblers that I use. Those are the orange ones. Everything that's in here, if you see it in my shop, I have tested it and used it. And there's more than likely at least one video of me using the items. So you can sometimes snag settings or techniques or jigs or whatever from me to kind of help you on your adventure. All of the stuff that's in here is stuff that I've used. It comes directly from my recent orders. So these are the Hassel Outfitters tumblers that I use. These guys come in an array of different colors. All right, these are a little different shaped than the one that I showed you a minute ago. The orange ones have a little more of a rounding. They're a little bit bigger tumbler. You can see they kind of got like a bulge right there at the bottom. But they also come in different. Stay away from that color. Diode lasers do not like that color. You can do them, but you're going to have to try to figure out how to make them black. And it takes a lot of testings. Red is your friend with a blue diode laser. Of course, black is always a good pick. Black tumblers are the easiest tumblers. If you're just starting with tumblers, start with black. Black tumblers are very, very forgiving. The orange are actually very forgiving because what color is our safety glass on our lasers, guys? Orange. So obviously orange absorbs the blue light. So it makes them they do almost as good as black. I think between black and orange are probably the two best colors to engrave. White, if you're doing images, I like white ones. Like if you wanted a picture of your dog on your tumbler, I would use white because white allows you to basically mark it black or gray in places, and it allows you to do shading with enough testing. And of course, red works really well with blue light as well. But if you go into my If you go into my Clack Shack right here, you may have saw on my Facebook page the other day. I did one of these for my friends over at This and That Vinyl for an order that they placed. These are the business cards I use. This is some orange acrylic that actually will cut with a diode laser. I've cut some of this with my X Tool D1 10 watt and my 20 watt. It's surprising, but it will actually cut almost as good as black. Just little magnets, keychains. All of these are things that I make jigs for that you can use with the jigs. And of course, I have other things on my idea lists over here. If you're looking for accessories or things for your laser, this is the USB hub. I use this on every machine I've got in the shop. That's the USB hub I use. The lights, fans, you name it. It's probably in here. If it's for a laser and you've seen it on my channel, it's probably in here. So if you ever wonder what I use, just go to my website and click on the little shop with Clack tag up top. And these are all my affiliate links if you ever want one of those. If you want to buy an X Tool or a Shapeco 5 or an Atom Stack or a Rolly or an Aesmer, you can go here also. Click one of those links, and that will let them know that the Clack Shack sent you, and I'll get a little tip off of it, and it doesn't cost you any more money at all. And then here's my enclosure designs, little rough sketches. Those are free. Those don't cost anything. But yeah, that's my website. Don't do a whole lot with it. It is also the location of the Aesmer P1 giveaway sign up form. So there you go. Now you know. Now you know, the more you know, which I'm going to try to get around to getting the Aesmer, finish up on the video. I'm going to do one more video, which is probably going to be a project video. I'm thinking because the mirrors are pretty popular and being as it's a 6 watt, it's not going to be anything that's going to be doing a lot of cutting. So I'm thinking I will take the new Aesmer, the 6 watt. I think I'm going to do a mirror with it. Engrave a mirror, do a multi-layered, like awesome mirror, kind of like that one. So yeah, that's probably what my project is going to be for the machine. Once I get that project video out, the very next Sunday Night Live that we have will be where I reveal the winner of the Aesmer. It's an awesome little machine, a really good beginner machine, and a really good engraving machine. Not going to be doing a lot of cutting with it unless you're cutting paper or cardstock or something like that. But it's very accurate and very good at engraving. And soon, coming soon to the shack, for those of you who haven't seen it, get these put up, my OCD. Wait a minute, hang on. Since overhead camera's working today. That would be a no. That would be a no. Overhead camera's not working, apparently. But soon, we will be doing a video on the other MK2, which is the Alpha Algo Laser Alpha MK2. Y'all may have seen the video where I have the original Algo laser that I think I even got a pre-release version, I think, before they made them public. But they reached out to me and was like, hey, we've got our new machine. It's improved. It's better than the one that you've had before. We think you might like it. Would you like to try it out? It's got a cool little touchscreen and some other upgrades to it. The speeds are faster than the original Algo laser. And so I was like, why not? Because guys, the original Algo was really, really fast. It and the MK2 from Rolly, like the speeds of those machines are pretty similar. I've heard that they possibly use the same controllers or similar controllers. So I expect that to be a really fast engraving machine as well. Because if it's faster than the original Alpha, it's going to be really fast. So, what do y'all think? Anything else going on? Y'all got any ideas? Nothing else y'all need to see, hear, do? Let's see what we got in the comments over here. See if I missed anything else. Let's see. What's with the green shirt? Oh, this is my other green shirt. Uh, I have green is the original color that I started out with. Uh, but then I went to the orange because I just like the orange. But it is they have two different options. Not everybody wants to look like a traffic cone. Some folks just want to be, subdued slightly. So, but I'll show you that too. Since you brought up the shirts, do you have any educated? No, you ain't got to be educated. I ain't got no education either. Not in much. So while y'all talking about the shirts, also under the shot with Clack. Uh, well, actually, we're well. Somebody's got to work on his website, guys. My link to my merch is gone. I'll be fixing that. In just a moment. But yeah, I have different T-shirts. Let me go find their page, and I'll show it to you. It's called This and That Vinyl, and I don't know how it come up missing at all. But if you're interested, these ladies have came up with, and I'll show you here. This is a local business, This and That Vinyl. They're located here in Clanton, and I have moved all of my shirts and stuff over to them to do. Currently, we've only got these colors listed, but I'm pretty sure. Let me see what you can do here. If you hit select options, yeah, they haven't added any more colors yet, but you do have the gray or the green, which is what I'm wearing now, or the high-vis orange. And guys, these shirts are significantly cheaper than what I was getting them for on spring, and so I moved my stuff over to here. And also, the only place to get your official Clack Shack hat with the leather engraved patch, whether you want circular or square. I prefer circular. Is from This and That Vinyl. Of course, they're not too expensive. $25, and they do use the was it Richardson hats for those. So it's a pretty good hat. I got one in the house. I wear it when I go places when I need a sun, kind of a sun shield for my head. But we're adding more colors. If there's a color that everybody wants, I can have them added. But right now, these are the ones that I wear that mimic the shirts that I wear on the channel. But I do have a gray in case you don't want color at all. This is a gray and black that you can order there as well. So there you go. And I needed to update my website because I thought they were on there, but it was spring. And I remember I deleted spring because I got tired of them charging such crazy prices. And so Chris, you were exactly right, sir. She's probably watching. But yeah, my orange ones haven't made it or hadn't made it through the wash when I grabbed these. They may have now, but they had it at the time. So Country Strong Crafts said he's done at least 20 grids and none have been even close to the good results I get on my F1. Try defocusing. I'm telling you, try defocusing. You would not think it makes as big a difference as it does. Klein was having some trouble the other day with his tumblers having lines in them and having leave on the coating. And I told him, I was like, bring your focus up about 2 millimeters on the tumblers and run them again using what you thought was your best setting. And he raised the focus, ran the same setting that he didn't like, and got good results that he liked. So what's the name again? What are we talking about, Anita? I've missed something here. Anita, I'm not seeing it. Anita, what are you trying to get the name of? Was it the tumblers? Was it the Hassel Outfitter tumblers? But there's a link on there. you talking about to sign in? You really can't correct it, Anita. Just register the correct one. If that one was to be the winning one, then we'll go from there.
Perimeter alert, delivery box.
Oh, that would be Brandy. She's just now making it home. Well,
Perimeter alert, driveway.
but anyway, yep. Maybe it's not Brandy. Could it be a delivery truck? Stand by. Stand by, guys. Maybe it is. She's just driving unusually slow. Okay. But yeah, if you want to sign up for the drawing, like I said, just use your email address. Huh. Not sure what that little noise was. Oh well. Oh. No, she had a work thing this afternoon. Uh, that she had to stay late for. I thought that was her, but I'm not seeing a vehicle. Maybe my daughter out walking around. Not seeing anything, so I doubt it, Greg. I'm pretty well known around this here community, and not that it can't happen, not that it wouldn't happen, but most folks, you know, they wouldn't really want to know what the consequences would be if they got caught. So I have that going for me. They know I'm a little bit unstable. But anyway, y'all got anything constructive that we need to do? Any questions we need to answer? I need to fix my website because that is a rain ATM. We have a rain ATM here in Northwest Bama. No, I have countermeasures there, Greg. But it may have been the UPS guy because I do have packages coming, but it was kind of weird. It also could be a bird, it could be a dog, it could be a deer. Sometimes it's deer. They like to walk up my driveway and mess with my dogs. So let's see at 419. That was me. 1620. Yeah, not real sure. We'll figure it out. Help with the art gallery? What kind of help you got? I mean, what are you having problems with? And we'll see what we can't come up with. What is it that you can't get to work? I'm trying to fix my website. My internet's been a little slow. That's odd. I'm trying to fix that merch button. All right, let me see, y'all. No, it ain't the Sasquatch. He's still up there in Minnesota. All right, I'm fixed to fix this merch button that's not working. Because I actually just realized that I have Etsy also on my shop tab, which makes no sense to have it in two places. So if you go to the shop with me, well, there's the merch store. Let's make sure it's right while I'm here. Yeah, it's right. I am just blind today, guys. Hmm. So anyway, now that I realize that I am blind, LightBurn will not save files to new folders. It will to existing folders that I'm making. We go. LightBurn will not save. We'll see you, Miss Sharon. Not sure I'm following. Let's go down here in LightBurn and we'll look at it. When you're talking about the library, the art library, or are you talking about the settings library? Which one are we discussing? Is it going to be art or is it going to be settings? So LightBurn will not say files. The art library. Okay. All right. The first thing that you're going to want to do for your art library, the way that I've got mine set up, I use a network drive that is on my local network. And if you look, I've got a folder right there that is called libraries. All right. This is where all my libraries are saved. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go somewhere on your computer, whether it's on your C drive or if you want to have them portable and you're working on a desktop computer and you want to just plug your thumb drive in the back of the computer and do it there or whatever. It's also not a bad idea to back up this folder in case you do have hard drive failure, regardless of what kind of drive you use. So what I'll do periodically is I'll copy this folder, this whole drive right here. I'll back it up. So once you create you a folder, I would, just name it libraries. That works. When you get ready, like, see, I've got one right here called testing. And that's where all my test stuff goes. So the way you do libraries is you're going to have to create a new one right here, this little button. But make sure, see, like right now, it's trying to put this one over here inside an Atom Stack folder. I don't want it to go there. If I'm making a new library, I want it to go to that drive, and then I want it to go into my libraries folder. So I'm going to just highlight that folder and select it and hit OK. Then once you do that, inside here, you've got to go in here and name it, like I'll name this one Demo. All right, so you got to name it Demo or whatever your name is for it and hit Save. Once you do that, that's where it's at. So if I'm clicking around, let's say I go to Demo and I'm like, I want this graphic, let's say I want this right here inside the Demo library. So then you would just go down here to the bottom where it says Import Graphic from Project, click that button, and I'm going to name this because it's a Brandy text. I'm going to name it Brandy. Hit OK, and it's going to bring it in and put it over there. Well, if I decided, you know what, I'd like to do this one as well, same thing. Select everything that I want brought in, import it, and then I'll just name this Design and hit OK. So now those are in there. All right, so in the event that, let's say something happens, you turn your computer on tomorrow, and this is the only library you have. All right, so I'm gonna unload it. All right, so I logged into my computer today, and my demo art library is not there. The way you would do it now is you would come over here to load, go to that folder location, which, like I said, I always go into here to my little drive that says libraries. Scroll down until you find demo, hit OK, open, and it's going to reload it for you. I don't know why it may be unloading and reloading, or whether you're, what's going on exactly without looking at your screen. But that is basically all you have to know. You can even import a library. Like if someone mails it to you or you download it, you can even go in here and hit import and go to wherever it is, and you can re-download that library. So that's the gist of it. So like if I want to go in here and like this one here, let's say I'm going to unload that. Well, if I decide I don't need that library at all, there's really not a way to delete it in here. You're just going to have to go over and go to that directory that you created, find the library that is marked demo, right click, and delete. And now that library is gone. Like, it's out of here. So, speaking of which, floral. Let me take this text here, here, and I want to add this thing to my floral library. And that way, if I ever do decide I want to use that, I don't even have to go looking for the file now. So, yeah, that's it. Do you have it on a network drive or something that it takes a minute to connect, Greg? Because if you do, it may just be that network connection is not available until the internet comes on. And in that case, all you got to do, if it doesn't load, is just go down here to the load button and just manually load it, and you should be good. I don't know why it would be unloading and all that. I don't know. I don't know what might be going on with that, but you can always just load it yourself. Now you do want to make sure that up here on Windows, make sure you have Art Library checked also, so that it would just on a laptop hard drive. I don't know why it would be doing that. Maybe move them to a different location on the drive and see if that makes a difference. And now there are such thing as user permissions. So if you just can't get it to load, I'd say maybe it's a user permission. But if you're able to save to that location, you should be able to read from that location too. Yeah, if you've accidentally hit, which he's saying that it just, he has to come back up. Saving Art Library, does it save settings? I don't really know, because I use so many different lasers. I always check them anyway. I've never really paid that any attention. Verl's asking if when you save it in Art Library, does it save settings? One way to find out, I guess, would be to file, new window. Let's go over here to a different instance. No. Let's change over. Let's see here. Cuts and layers. All right, so let me go to that floral. Bring that in. 240, 240, 15, and 100. All right, so let me do it this way. Let me bring it in. I'm going to mess with the settings, because just in case there's something going on with it being the last thing that I mess with. So if I change those, that should change my defaults. 400 and 200. So I'm going to delete those. Let's see if my defaults changed. All right, hang on. Yeah, see the default in here is 20 and 10 on that one. All right. And 400, wait a minute. Why did it just change that? Okay. Yeah, 20 and 10 and 400. So that's changed my defaults. Let me see if I can. Let me do something crazy. I'll forget to change these after a while. And I'll be hating life. All right, so let me delete these now. Well, give me the right tool. So let's see what happens when I bring them in now. Yeah. No, it does not save the settings apparently, because it didn't override that craziness that I put in there. So I would have to go with no, it does not override settings. So whatever, when you bring it in, whatever your layer that it assigns it to is set to is what it's going to assign to it. So yeah, I would, I always, like I said, I always check them anyway. Because if I go from a 5 watt machine over to a uh, 70 watt machine, it's going to be totally different. So I've got a habit of checking. That's the last thing I do before I hit start is I check all my feeds and speeds and all that. And like even especially some of them in here, you want to make sure kerf offset hasn't been left over from a previous project or whatever. Sometimes I may turn on like flood fill. Sometimes I may do instead of line, I may have it set to offset fill. And so I always verify these because these down here, you can actually like reset to default, make default, or make default for all. You can play around with those, but I don't stick with any defaults because, like I said, when I go from doing something on the 70 watt to doing it on a 30 watt, I have to change everything anyway. So I don't. It's not that big of a deal to me. I get in the habit of checking it because if you don't check it, you'll wind up running 30 watt settings on a 7 watt and you'll set something on fire. Oh, I do use this. I use the same art on all different machines. You can go down here and look at a lot of my like I've got multiple designs, and I use them on all kinds of different machines. But when I bring them into the workspace, I automatically check the settings. I do not just throw them in there and go with it. Each one of them has different power and speed because, like I said, you never know what machine I'm going to be using. There's a lot of different settings goes on over here. So, yeah, I have to check it before I send it anyway. And a lot of the files too, you got to look. Some of the files they're in those folders, I created on a 5 watt and saved them, or 6 watt and saved them. And next week I may open them on a 70 watt. So I can't. I always have to check my settings. Greg, no, I've been catching up on jobs. Today's the first day that I've had a chance to breathe. Uh, I got. I think I got to go back through my messages. I got 5 stove covers and like 3 cutting boards I got to do for Clayton's, but that's one of those jobs that it'll take them a couple of weeks to get ready on their end. So I've got a few weeks. I'm hoping to go this week someday and go to the Lowe's and pick up some supplies to where I can go ahead and completely knock that list out. Because that way I'll be completely caught up with that. I do have, like I said, I've got to finish up with the ASMR and get that done and get that shipped out and all. And now, of course, I've got to do that guy. And they sent me a honeycomb with this one. I was actually impressed. Yeah. So that was unexpected. They don't normally. A lot of these companies don't send you a honeycomb. So I was actually pleasantly surprised when the honeycomb showed up with it. But I really want to get that one out and put it together and play with it a little bit. If it goes together the way the old algo did, I don't think it's going to be that terrible. But of course, I've got to video it and everything so I can share it with you guys. So I really didn't feel like doing it tonight. It's awful early to be yawning, but my tea glass has ran low, guys, and we've been at this for almost 2 hours. So I got to go get some tea, and I'm gonna come back out here. I've got a few files. Some of y'all may have saw my paint can organizer. I do have a plan to hopefully. Let me swap over here. Hopefully, be able to put that in my Etsy shop because I've had only like 5 people email me already, wanting to know if they could get it from me. So I'm planning on putting my paint storage for the wall. I'm planning on putting that file on Etsy. But the problem with it is, and I'll show you guys, if you don't have an 850 millimeter work area with the way I've got it set up right now, you're not going to be able to use it. So what I've got to do is I'm going to go in basically, and I'm going to cut this in half or probably just do a 400 by 400 because I think, let me see here. Change that to, let me see, change it to a tool line. So if I do, a 400 by 400 version, it looks like I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cans of paint in the 400 by 400 version of it. And I think that would be decent. And then, you got, of course, you got 6 more over here. But if you only had a 400 by 400 machine, that would allow you to make one of these little shelves to hold 5 cans. Now you would have to have, to hold 20 cans, you'd have to have 4 of these on top of each other. But I'm going to go in and clean this up and change it. And it's been kind of an evolution building this file. Originally, I had thought that this little backdrop area, I thought the back of the can would sit in there. But then as I got to put it together, I realized that this basically just works as a guide to kind of like the rounded edge of the can kind of sits up against this and keeps it from rolling right or left as bad. So I may go back and tweak this a little bit as far as these long little spindly things here. I may wind up taking those off to reduce some of the cut time and make it more of a up and down through here without going all the way up into there. I don't see where these are serving purpose, and they're just adding length to the cut. So yeah, I gotta do some work on that file before I send it out there. And another thing is I made this file for 4.7 millimeter material. And so I've got to go make it for like, I could probably do 3 millimeter for 5 of them for that small, but I don't know how sturdy it would be. So usually what I'll do is I'll make it for 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter, 4.5, 4.7, and 5 millimeter. And so that's a whole lot of resizing slots that I'm having to do. I don't know how to do a beer mug with a handle on my MK2 rotary. Does the handle come off? If the handle comes off, that's the easiest thing to take the handle off. If the handle does not come off, then you're going to want to really look at how you're laying that out, and you're going to want to run that. I run mine from current position anyway, because that's the way I learned how to do them in the beginning, and it's just easier for me to do tumblers from current position. But handles do make it challenging. As long as you want the engrave to be centered, like where the handle is to the left or to the right, if you run it current position, you can set the machine up to where the pieces don't like slam into each other. But you got to be careful, because if you're not careful, you'll spin it to where the handle actually hit the module. So, like I said, tumblers are a whole nother ball game. It adds a whole nother dynamic to everything about it. So, but yeah. But like I said, I got a buddy of mine that's wanting this file. Plus, I've got 4 or 5 people that have emailed me wanting it. So that's what I was going to work on tonight, was trying to get that out there, get that in my Etsy shop. And if you ever start looking for my Etsy shop, of course, there's links in all my video descriptions. And there's also a link to it on the website that we went to earlier. So, and I do appreciate that, because Etsy's one of the reasons that that I can actually like have air conditioning. Because without Etsy and stuff, I don't know that air conditioning would be possible. Yeah, if you lay it out right, Greg, you can get it to where it won't hit the gantry, but you're going to have to run current position. Try running current position. That is the biggest tip that I can give you. Run current position, and when you set the cup in there, put the handle to where it's to the side. Now, you're not going to be able to get too close to the handle with the engrave, because the closer you get to the handle with the engrave, the handle's going to come up. But you should be able to get close enough to make it look good without intersecting with the handle. Hopefully, I think you can. But if you'll, like I said, if you just got a current position, look at some of my videos where I run current position on them. That way, the tumbler, when you move it, it only moves like a quarter of a turn, so you don't have to worry about it going all the way over and slapping or anything. If you try to run absolute coordinates, the handle is going to prevent you from being able to do anything at all with it. So you may want to play around with current position. And what you would do is just set your origin point and then lay it out. You got to measure the tumbler, lay it out, put your origin in the center of the graphic, the top of the graphic, the left of the graphic, however you want to go with it from the origin, whatever works best, and go that way. But anyway, guys, it's been 2 hours. I'm thirsty and maybe just a touch hungry. So I'm gonna go in the house. But if you have any questions or anything like that, anything that you would like to see in a video, feel free to comment on my videos, comment on Facebook, send me a message, whatever. Let me know. And I try to share as much as I can with you guys, but sometimes doing videos gets in the way of my productivity. And so some days I just have to crank out stuff and not concentrate on doing videos. So I have been engraving glass, and the frost looks awesome. Yeah, nearly breakfast time for Chris. Oh, that's just weird to me, Chris. It's like Back to the Future for you, because we're talking yesterday to Chris, and Chris is tomorrow. So that's crazy. But anyway, guys, until next time, y'all be safe. Have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys. This is a slow season for YouTube. I think everybody that I know that's on YouTube, this is a slow season. So the more thumbs ups I can get, maybe that'll help give me a little traction, get the views go, keep the views going. And if the views keep going, then hopefully the equipment and stuff like that will keep coming, and the content will flow a little smoother and evenly, because sometimes, guys, I get vapor locked and can't come up with content, but then somebody sends me a machine. It's like, okay, I need to do a video on that. So that helps out. But if you hadn't registered for the drawing, go do so, and hopefully we'll get that thing given away here soon, within the next week or so. So till next time, be safe and have a good day.